Good morning. Welcome to Coffee Talk. I'm Mark Bradberry. Why don't you grab a cup and join me this morning? Let's pick sides. Ooh, that one statement, let's pick sides, on the playground is the bane of many a child's existence, creating fear and anxiety as the time comes to divide up a group and play a game. You know, even today, I remember all too well those childhood days of dodgeball or kickball or really any other team game. I was a little smaller than some and not particularly athletic at the time, so I rarely, if ever, was anyone's first choice. Naturally, I grew to despise the very thought of picking sides. You remember how it worked, don't you? Yeah. The popular team captains would begin a person-by-person selection, kind of a kid's nightmare version of the NFL draft. You know, I'll take Johnny, the first would say, and then the process would begin. Mike, and then Steve, and Phil, you know, and it worked on and on and on, and I'd stand there being eager, you know, and hoping to be an early draft pick. You know, kind of somehow expecting that basic kindness and fairness would prevail over the inevitable pick the click or win at all costs types of attitudes. You know, please don't let me be the last, please, I would think, or even worse, please God, don't let me be a you can have. Oh, there's nothing worse for a kid than to be the last one chosen or the leftover, you know. Thankfully, I usually got selected somewhere in the middle of the pack, and eventually everyone was on one side or the other, and the trauma was forgotten. The game would proceed, and everything was set aside until the next time that it happened. You know, that's what favoritism is all about. You know, it's that attitude of leaving the realm of fairness and qualifications and honest differentiation. It's about an attitude of personal bias, of judging based on external qualities and making decisions on the same. It's about preferential treatment. You know, you may see it played out in cliques, you know, shunning the less popular people or exclusionary behavior. In the extreme, though, favoritism can really look like nepotism or discrimination or racism or bigotry. And it's wrong. It's wrongful behavior. The early Christian church faced what was arguably a unique set of problems, favoritism being one of those. The call of the gospel message, you see, was for everyone. It was not just for the Jews. And the message itself was one of love and grace and devotion. But the purity of the mission was often impacted by the reality of sin. As new converts, both rich and poor, came into the church, they brought with them their own personal bias and old ideas. In worldly terms, you know, that wealth meant honor and prominence. So people of social standing and material means were often given positions of distinction, while the poor were being shuffled off to sit on the side or on the floor. You know, favoritism had unfortunately found its place in the church. James, who was the half-brother of Jesus and a ruler or a leader in the Jerusalem church, wrote an open letter to address this sort of problem. He goes, wait a minute, people, wait a minute, there's a problem here. He said, if you show special attention to the man wearing fine clothes and say, here is a good seat for you, but you say to the poor man, well, you sit over there, you stand over there, sit on the floor here by my feet, you know, have you not discriminated among yourselves and become judges with evil thoughts? You see, James pointed out that such actions, well, it made them the judge of other people's values, and it showed evil intent in their hearts. They failed to honor equally those who God honored, and they gave preferential treatment to those who might actually exploit others and misuse their wealth, power, and position. James made it clear, favoritism is a sin. Now, you know wealth is not the only basis for favoritism. No, not at all. You can substitute any differentiating factor and come up with the same type of equation. You know, it plays out exactly the same way. You know, Jew or Gentile, male or female, social status, nationality, in crowd or not. If you start choosing sides, who's in and who's out, well, you've missed the whole point of the gospel. The principle is universal. The inherent value of a person has nothing whatsoever to do with their outside appearances or the conditions or the circumstances, but rather it has everything to do with God's perspective toward His beloved creation. Everyone has inherent value, and the believer's responsibility is to treat everyone with courtesy, compassion, and consistency. It's a direct application of love your neighbor as yourself. But it's not your place to judge, you see, and it's not your right to play favorites, but it is your place. It is your place. It is your place. And your responsibility to love others. And, well, if you don't want to play it that way, well, just remember, it's all well and good until you're one of those who's not picked. Enjoy your coffee.